Uh, Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's conference, this afternoon's conference. It's on EV, electric vehicle ecosystems in Indonesia. So, my name is Emmanuel Estarto Wanandi. I'm the special advisor to the special staff to the Minister of Industry from Indonesia. I have four speakers today, three from Indonesia and one from Germany. I would like to invite our speakers. The first one is Pak Septian Haryo Seto to come on the stage. Uh, the second one is Mr. Marius Okel. Please come to the stage. The third one is Pak Ari Rahmat Indra Cahyadi. Please come on the stage, Pak. And the last one is Pak Toto Nugroho. Please come to the stage. Go ahead, please sit. Well, first, I will introduce these four gentlemen. First one is Pak Seto, Pak Septian Haryo Seto. He's the Deputy of Investment and Mining from the Coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment Affairs in Indonesia. We also have Mr. Marius Okel. He's the Head of Cluster International Association Partnership Africa and India from the German Association of Automotive Industry, or VDA. Beside him is Pak Ari Rahmat Cahyadi. He's the President Director of PLN Icon Plus. PLN is the Indonesia Electric Company. And the last one is Pak Toto Nugroho, President Director of PT Indonesia Battery Corporation, of IBC. Yeah. As you're all aware, electric vehicle is probably one of the hottest topic in recent years. Countries and companies all over the world are racing in doing research to the most advanced, most eco-friendly by spending lots of capital. And one of these countries is Indonesia now. And one of the companies present here, IBC, is also doing a lot of research and developing the market for electric vehicles. So we will find out more on what Indonesia has done and what IBC has done so far in EV ecosystem. And we will also hear from our German counterpart, Mr. Marius, on his view on this EV ecosystem. And I guess without further ado, first I will ask Pak Seto to do his presentation on the EV ecosystem in Indonesia. Please, Pak Seto.
Tes. Okay. Thank you very much. It's an honor for me to be invited here and speaking in front of you and inform you about the development of the EV ecosystem in Indonesia. I guess this is a very important topic that is becoming hot topic all around the world. Yeah, how the strategy of each country to accelerate the adoption of the electric vehicle. Before going into the topic, next slide. I would like to maybe to some of you who don't know about Indonesia, I think we are the largest archipelagic country in the world. We have about 282 million population with around 60 to 80 million middle class and growing in Indonesia. And then what interesting is we have significant key critical minerals that is needed for the energy transition. As you can see here, we have the biggest reserve of the nickel, second biggest for tin, number 6 for bauxite, which is for the aluminum, and then also for copper, we also number 7. Yeah. So I guess the aim of the president is actually how we can combine the processing of all these critical mineral using the renewable energy that we have. So the product that we produce is actually have a lower carbon emission. Yeah, I think this is the strategy that we are going to implement. Next slide. So this slide actually visualize what is our key challenge in Indonesia. So as we grow our economy, it is very important that we can break the relationship between the growing the economy and growing of the carbon emission. So I guess there are two pillars that is very important for us to achieve to keep maintaining our economic growth, but at the same time, we can also lowering our carbon emission. The first one is, of course, on the electricity side. We are trying to accelerate the early retirement of the coal-fired power plant. We are using and utilizing our renewable energy. We are building. Last month, the president inaugurated the largest hydropower in Indonesia that will be used for the industrial purposes in the North Kalimantan. So we are doing on the upstream side how to reduce the carbon footprint on the electricity. I just come back from the Washington DC and discussing with the US about the just energy transition. They provide us with 20 billion US dollar of the funding and financing to actually decarbonize our electricity. The second one, the second pillar is actually on the end use sector, which is obviously the transportation sector. This is very important because if you can see the next slide, on the next slide, if we are not adopting the EV or decarbonizing our transportation sector fast enough, we are going to see a significant carbon emission growth from our transportation sector. We have been actually started several years ago through building a significant public transport system in Jakarta. We are building LRT, we are building MRT to actually pushing people from using their combustion engine and going into the public transport. But I think this is not enough. So we have to speed up the adoption of the EV, and then the challenges as well is not only from the carbon emission, also from the subsidy. I think if you can see here, the subsidy last year, I think we spent about 35 billion US dollar of subsidy for the energy. So we have done some calculation. If we accelerate the adoption of the EV, I think the subsidy saving is quite significant. I think for a motorcycle, we can save about 7 million rupiah during the life cycle and about 14 million rupiah for the cars. And then if you count the population of car and motorcycle in Indonesia, that will be generate a significant saving. That's why, next slide. I think the potential reduction is quite significant. It could reach about 50 million ton by 2050 using our current scenario. But I think the plan from the government is actually to accelerate the adoption. That's why I will inform you later. The government issue several incentive policy to accelerate the adoption of this EV. There are three key principles for us in developing the EV adoption acceleration program. Of course, the first one is the industry transformation. Actually, how we change from the ICE automotive industry into an EV industry. We are on discussion with the several EV automaker. We have Wuling, we have Hyundai now in Indonesia. We are talking with BYD, we are talking with Tesla, and how to attract the investment in EV manufacturing into Indonesia. The second one is, of course, the energy security. This is also very important pillar, transforming from the combustion into electric vehicle will reduce significantly our import of crude oil. I think this is also very important aspect from the energy security. And the third pillar is, of course, the carbonization that we already explained. This is just to show you the population and the potential of this electric vehicle in Indonesia. I think Indonesia is 50% of the Asian second wheel market. That's why this is our first priority. Last month, I think we are issuing the incentive to actually give subsidy, cash subsidy about 7 million rupiah or approximately $500 for every EV motorcycle purchase that meet our criteria. Basically, with this 500 US dollar, actually government subsidizing 30% of the purchase price of the electric vehicle. Why this is important? Because in Indonesia, we sell every year about 6 to 7 million of the two-wheeler. We have about more than 140 million population, so it's very big. So accelerating the electrification of the motorcycle will have a significant impact on the carbon reduction. On the cars, I think we sold about 1 million cars domestically. We export about 400,000 to the international market. This is also one of the big market in the ASEAN. I think Thailand have a bigger production, but in terms of the passenger vehicle, if you take the data, take a look on the data closely, actually Indonesia is the biggest one. That's why I think we are successfully inviting Wuling. Hyundai is making the Ioniq 5 in Indonesia, and then hopefully we can also announce soon another one or two EV global automaker that commit to build their factory in Indonesia. This is the incentive, just to give you a summary. I think for the electric vehicle, it's quite different with the Thailand, whereby they give the cash subsidy. In Indonesia, we reduce the VAT from 11% to actually 1%. That's have a significant impact. For example, Ioniq 5 in Indonesia is about, the price is about 55,000 US dollar. Right now the price I think becoming around 50,000 US dollar. So there is a 10% reduction of the price that is given by the government. Of course, this is not free. Like in the IRA in the US, we are giving this incentive only for a car manufacturer that meet the local content in Indonesia. This year, the local content requirement is about 40%. So to be eligible for this incentive, actually you need to meet the local content. Why this is important? Because we don't want just to be an importing country. We want to have the industry itself in Indonesia. So I think this is very important. It is quite similar with the electric bus, and then for the electric motorcycle, I think as you can see, we are giving 7 million or about 500 US dollar. And the beauty of Indonesia is, if you can see this one, this is actually we are mapping our lithium battery supply chain. The only one that we don't have as of today is actually the lithium rock from the commodity perspective. But we are building the lithium refinery in Indonesia. It will be finished end of this year. One of the biggest capacity in the world, about 60,000 ton. It will be completed in Indonesia. Even though that we don't have the lithium, we are going to import the lithium actually from Australia. But the other materials such as the graphite and everything we have. So I think the ecosystem in Indonesia is almost completed, I would say, with the lithium investment coming to Indonesia. So I think this is very important, because once we develop the supply chain from end to end of the lithium battery in Indonesia, then the electric vehicle industry in Indonesia will be competitive, because you have the battery industry as well in Indonesia. I think this is my my last slide. So I think this is the aim from the government. So the president has asked us since last year not to focus only from the commodity by commodity on the downstream industry, but rather to make it as an ecosystem of the lithium battery and electric vehicle. So I think if we have this ecosystem in Indonesia, we can make sure that the competitiveness of battery, electric vehicle battery, and the electric vehicle industry in Indonesia will be very high compared to other countries in ASEAN, or even other countries in Asia, because we have almost all the raw materials, we have almost all the global player actually investing in Indonesia. So I guess it may need another 1 or 2 years, in my view, to complete all the ecosystem, and then inviting more EV global player to Indonesia, and then pushing more the adoption of this EV domestically through the various incentive program, and also the stick the disincentive. Yeah, what we are thinking, I think after we phase out the VAT incentive, we are thinking about the quota system, which means that if you want to sell like 100 combustion, then at least you need to sell certain amount of the electric vehicle. Yeah. I think this model has been used in many countries, and it has been proven successful, yeah, to speed up the adoption of the electric vehicle. So I think I will stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paseto, for the presentation. I think this is a very aggressive presentation. I think it's very good. It's an Indonesian government really support the EV ecosystem in the future, and I hope that these the what's explained by Paseto will come true in a fast and timely matter. Um, Second presentation, I will ask Mr. Marius Ochel to do your presentation on the EV ecosystem, please.
Is it working? Yes, right. Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much. Marius Ochel, my name, from the German Association of the Automotive Industry, known in Germany as the VDA. I am actually very much thankful for Indonesia today to invite me here for your session and to give you a little overview about the electric vehicle ecosystem in Germany and in Europe, where we are right now and where might be future potential areas for cooperation. So, actually, what is the VDA? We are the Verband der Automobilindustrie, German Association of the Automotive Industry, consisting of more than 600 members. There's very big OEMs, which you might all know, like Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, and so on. We have the very big suppliers among our roof, and a lot of trailers and body manufacturers. So with the 600 members, we can say that we speak as the voice of the German automotive industry. The headquarters of the VDA is in Berlin, with 2 offices in Beijing and in Brussels. So to show you some key facts, the German automotive industry, basically the automotive industry share in overall turnover of manufacturing and industry in Germany is about 22%. So that even shows how high our production is in Germany, and there's close to 800,000 people in Germany being directly employed by the German automotive industry. We are right now the driver of the green transition, so 20% of German production are currently electric cars, and very important also for our cooperation today, German automotive industry is heavily internationalized, so over 75% of the German passenger car production is exported. So this means that for us, international cooperation is very, very important. So right now, I think it's nothing very new for the most people here in the hall. The automotive industry is changing, so we see major trends right now for electric mobility, automated driving, connected vehicles, digitalization, and this will have various effects on the consumer, on the car producer, and at the end on the society. So you see product consumption and production is very much affected by these changes right now, and the goal is, what we all need is resilient and sustainable supply chains. So also their international cooperation is very important as we get more and more new players and new markets into the overall level playing field. So to show you something on the world market, we are still below the pre-crisis levels, and actually we see like that the demand is coming back. So we see the crisis level before COVID was there was a higher sales in the world, but right now we are a little bit more than 70 million cars per year sold worldwide. Actually, you see main leading markets, it's China, the US, and Europe, which are all slightly coming back and now all increasing right now at the moment. But still, for example, in Europe, also the pre-crisis level, it's a little bit, it's still a long way off. which is quite interesting, the next slide, when we see the German passenger car production versus the order backlog. So you can see here in orange, which was the order situation compared to the production situation. So actually in the last 2 years, we very much had the challenge to meet the order with the production. But as you see that the green and the orange graph are right now narrowing, we see that this is coming a little bit to a situation where the demand can be met by the production. Coming on the next slide to the passenger car market in Germany, so we have somehow 2.7 million cars in Germany being sold per year. And actually Germany is the 5th biggest market in the world for cars right now. So now that's why we are here for today. You see the electric car sales internationally. You see China, Europe, and the US as like the main key markets. And when you see, quite impressive how this has really been taken up, especially you see China with a plus in the first quarter this year of 20% in the sales. You see Europe with close to 3 million electric cars being sold per year. So actually you see a very steady growth, and Europe is right now the second largest market worldwide for electric cars behind China. So we had an overall global sales record in 2022, and here you see in the statistics how far this is growing. So we can really say that the market ramp up is right now, it's a success, and that also Germany and Europe here is in orange, is having like a very high share in this market right now. So electric mobility that's interesting, the evolution of the passenger car production structure. So you see here, when you look back like 5 years, that there was basically, so the gray one is the traditional combustion engine. So you could see how much cars being produced with the traditional combustion engine and how this has changed now to the battery electric cars in green and the plug-in hybrid vehicles in orange. But what we also must say, you can see that the German domestic car production has been shrinking the last years. So actually, now it's going up again, but you see that especially important here is that the production has changed from the traditional combustion engine to the electric cars. So even here you see on the right slide, you see a change of 65% additional growth for the battery electric vehicles. And yes, so overall the annual production of electric vehicles more than quadrupled since 2017. Even here you can see the production of electric passenger cars in Germany for the last 5 years. And right now we have electric share of total production, which is maybe quite important, of 25%. So even this is quite high, and from these cars, overall export quota 67%. So which is, next slide, this is like the goal of our German federal ministry. So the goal is to have 1 million fast charging points by 2030, which are publicly accessible. And the other climate target for the passenger car sector or for the transport sector is 15 million EV vehicles by 2030. I think this slide, it's 1 year old, so now there's written 51,300 public charging points. I just looked it up today morning. So right now we have 80,000 fast chargers in Germany. But what you can see, to meet the goal of 1 million charging points by 2030, the current status would be that the weekly new fast chargers needs to be 4 times higher than it is right now. So we actually need to have 2,200 more fast chargers each week to meet this goal. So you see that even there, it's still a way to go. And the same is for the other goal with the 50 million e-vehicles. To reach that target, right now the daily EV registrations will have to even more than double each day. So you see that also there is a long way still in front of us. I would like to end my presentation, as I still have 1 minute, with some 2-3 main words or two, three interesting facts. Basically, yes, we had said that the EV car share is right now of 21%, and in the year 2023, a new record of production of electric vehicles in Germany is being expected. Even though the reasons right now for the new some new production facilities in Germany and also a very high new models in the market which are produced by our OEMs. Even though the export demand right now it's rising because more and more countries also start to buy, or consumers buy from buy German EV cars worldwide. Like a general recommendation at the end for electric mobility from our side is that very important, it's still that there's government incentives, as you just lined out with Indonesia, for the first market ramp up, that the customer really gets like a feeling of electric mobility and can make his demand sufficient. And another thing is that from our side, standardization should always be as internationally harmonized as possible to allow companies to interact and to trade between two countries. And for this, we acknowledge very much Indonesia's efforts because they are very active in the ISO standard bodies and very much voting and being active in these committees. So this we highly acknowledge, and there's a lot of cooperation right now going on between the German automotive industry and Indonesia. I mean, there was even yesterday, there was a standardization committee from the two ministries of Germany and Indonesia just here at the trade fair to speak about cooperation in the future. So we are very happy and that there's a lot to do for us in the future. Last but not least, I would like to invite all of you to our IAA Mobility in Munich, which is done by the VDA. And actually a very friendly welcome from our side. So we are happy to show you there the newest trends of the automotive industry. We are very happy to host also Indonesian companies and visitors. So thank you very much for having me. And with this, I would like to end my presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marius Ochel, for your presentation. Our third presentation will be from Pak Ari Cahyadi. He is the President Director of PLN Icon Plus. So he will explain a little bit about what PLN or the Indonesian Electric Company has done until today. Please, Pak Ari.
Thank you very much, Pak Wanandi, for the great momentum for me to share about the contribution of PLN Group in accelerating the EV in Indonesia. Before I start the presentation, I would like to ask the audience, how many of you is already using EV now? Wow, very few are using EV now. Okay, but this is a good sign in Indonesia. Pak Seto is already mentioned, and the support from the government, the guidance direction from the government is very, very strong for us in Indonesia, that Indonesia is changing. We are now converting the behavior into using the EV for both cars and motorcycles. In PLN, PLN is one of the national electricity company in Indonesia. We are directly going into this solution to accelerate the penetration of EV. Since about 2 or 3 years ago, we installed chargers on a lot of areas, and we make the incentive tariffs, the discount tariffs for the users of electricity to charge their cars or motorcycles at home. From 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. there is a discount from PLN, and we from PLN not only serving the electricity, but also we are going into the digital collaboration ecosystem into the group. So we did a lot of engagement, collaboration with many manufacturers for both cars and motorcycles in Indonesia. So by 2-3 years ago, we built the platform called the PN Mobile, and we attract the digital platform for other companies into one single apps that the customers of PLN can also access the EV services from other manufacturers. So we put it all together. We want to bring the end-to-end experience of electricity users. So the electricity users not only can get the electricity service at their home, but the electricity is anywhere. In the cars, in the motorcycles, is all together in one single electricity solutions. Now the condition in Indonesia, mostly is still using the ICE vehicles. There are about 147 million conventional vehicles right now, and most of Indonesian people is using motorcycles. There are about 126 million motorcycles and 20 million cars. You can imagine that if all cars and motorcycles user is the customers of the electricity companies. So they are all customers of us. So this is very huge potency that if we can convert it, we can bundle the solution to the electricity vehicles users, it can give the end-to-end solutions to them. This is a huge potency for us all in industry to get into the transition of these vehicles, the transition of these behaviors to accelerate the EV penetration in Indonesia. So the government has decided that at least in 2030 there should be at the minimum 15 million electric vehicles in Indonesia, comprises of the motorcycles and also the cars, electric vehicles. Now the condition is there are 62,000 comprised of 42,000, around 40,000 of the motorcycles users and around 20,000 of the cars EV users in Indonesia. And now the trend is showing to us that the usage of the EV is going higher and higher. If you go to Indonesia and try to buy the EVs, for example, cars, the queue to get the cars is now take a longer time. So because we have to wait, the manufacturers sometimes doesn't predict that the demand is higher than the prediction. So this is the condition. Now the ecosystem is going here. We are in PLN doing the engagement with the manufacturers. Most of the cars is coming from Japan, for example, Nissan, and also some Koreans cars, Hyundai. We are in engagement of the collaboration with them. We define the end-to-end customer solution. So we built the ecosystem that anytime the customers buy the EV from the dealer, from the showroom, then the electricity will be upgraded at their houses. And then the chargers, usually people in Indonesia charge the cars at their houses. So the charger is also supplied by PLN and the group. And just one click from the customers at the buying point of the cars, they can get the electricity upgraded, they can get the chargers installed at their houses, and the cars is going to them at the same time. So this is the expectation, this is the digital platform that we built, this is the end-to-end solution that we offer into the customers and attracting the ecosystem to build this ecosystem together. So by that proposed from the government and the trends of the EV users in Indonesia, there are big requirements to build the chargers. So even though the behavior of the Indonesian people right now is charging at their houses for cars and motorcycles, but giving the users convenience level is very important. So the people, even though they are charging at their houses and the charging kilometers is still enough for them to traveling a lot, 500 kilometers charging is very sufficient for their commuting between offices and houses, but charging infrastructure can give the more confidence level of the users. So it can attract more users to convert their cars or motorcycles into the electricity. Moreover, in Indonesia, if we are going into the long distance traveler, long distance traveling needs the charger. So we in PLN also put the charger between the cities, and we are not alone here to build the infrastructure. We also invite the partners. So we built the collaboration ecosystem, the revenue sharing models, the partnership collaboration models to attract the private companies, other institutions to build the infrastructures together with PLN. So we put in the very strategic areas, and we in PLN has also contributed some of our offices now is becoming the charging station. So now the office of PLN, the electricity company, is now changing of their function. It is not about the customers of electricity going there also only for the electricity bills or some kind of electricity services, but they can get the charging station there. They can get the other solution from PLN that we bundle it together. This is what we contribute into the ecosystem, and we attract more of the parties to be involved in this ecosystem. The government of Indonesia has very supported to us here to bolster the penetration of EVs since the presidential decree in 2019. So the EV users becoming going high and high, and by last month, the government also introduced the incentives mechanism to the motorcycles users. That motorcycle users can get the incentives whenever they buy the motorcycle. So this is very good signs for us, and we from PLN also respond it into our business solution to the customers. So we built the digital platform here to make the users and also the government here can also get the automatic incentives calculation. So just because all of the EV users is the customers of PLN, we have known the data of the users. So we have known very well about their bills of electricity. So we calculate it together, we make the algorithm, and by the apps of the electricity customers users, which is called PLN Mobile, the customers can know directly that whether they get the incentives or not. And the government is helped by the easier services to the customers. So the customers that get the subsidy of the electricity can also get the subsidy of the motorcycles whenever they buy. This algorithm is already built in our PLN Mobile platform, in our digital platform, and also the purchasing of the cars and motorcycles can be done by the customers in our platform. So our platform now is transferred from the electricity platform only into the marketplace for the EVs to support the penetration of EVs in Indonesia. Okay, so now PLN is ready here. PLN is leading the EV penetration from the industry side, especially in the downstream. So downstream is very important here to generate more and more users here and directly impact into the customers. We do a lot of infrastructure development, chargers, do the collaboration platform models, doing the engagement with the manufacturers, inviting more of the private sectors here to be involved with PLN in building the chargers. And we built the strong platform, which is PLN Mobile, that we connecting into the API from other manufacturers here. So we expect that by the numbers of the customers' electricity in Indonesia and also most of the users is already engaged in our platform, can accelerate more, and we can develop the platform to get the end-to-end solution. People can get access into the EV, can pay for the EV theirs, and can get the experience. We, moreover, offering the customers in the platform the easiness of, for example, doing the test drive. Doing the test drive can be arranged in the PLN Mobile, so the users can get more experience on this. So this is the platform that we built. There is now 39 million PLN customers has downloaded this platform all over Indonesia, and the rating is very high, 4.9 scores here. This is what can be explored from all of the ecosystems in Indonesia to utilize this to introduce more about the EVs. We can easily blast the information into the users of PLN regarding the EVs, where is the service points, what is the benefit of EVs. Also the interaction, the transaction can be done all together here. So this is all of the portfolio that we bring here. We are also in engagement with IBC, the battery companies in Indonesia, to do the research. Standardization is very important. So after we get more standardized products here, it is more easiest and can support more on the platform that we have built. Then after all, ladies and gentlemen, we are from PLN is very ready on this. We are leading this transformation from the business side. Here we are having a platform, strong platform to support and to accelerate the EVs in Indonesia, and we are inviting you all to be collaboration with us in PLN to accelerate the EVs users in Indonesia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Ari Cahyadi, for your presentation. I think it's very useful to know what's happening with the electric vehicle ecosystem. Last but not least, I will ask Pak Toto Nugroho from the Indonesian Battery Corporation. It's a battery manufacturing company to do your presentation. Please, Pak Toto.
Thank you, Pak Wani. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I think, okay. First of all, thank you for having us in this prestigious conference, and we would like to share the development of the battery EV ecosystem in Indonesia and see where we are going, and more importantly, what kind of collaboration or business opportunities that we can explore more. Again, as the previous mentioned, we have one of the largest economy in Indonesia itself. We are number 16 now, but we are projected to be number 5 by 2045. The other one for us is the strong position in the upstream mineral resources. We are number 1 in terms of nickel production in the world. We are also very number 6 on copper, manganese, and aluminum reserves. So this is a really very good opportunity for Indonesia to develop this further. In terms of the market potential, as mentioned before, from two-wheel side, currently we have 120 million two wheels and close to 8 million new two wheels per year. But we also have the four-wheel production of close to 2 million in terms of 2025. The other one is the potential export of 100 gigawatt hour of battery or battery materials from our industry. And this is certainly will be one of the game changer for Indonesia going forward. The other one is the competitive supply chain advantage that we have, of course, because we have the supply chain in Indonesia, and we have currently in terms of competitiveness of manufacturing, we are cost index. We are I think at the top. Little bit introduction of IBC. So IBC itself is a very young company, Indonesian Battery Corporation. We are owned by 4 state-owned enterprise, comprising of the Mine ID, Antam, Pertamina, and PLN. Why this is the case? Because we want to develop from end to end, from the mining all the way to the downstream side. So Mine ID and Antam holds the reserve for our nickel, reserve for our aluminum, and reserve for all the products needed for the conversion to EV batteries. And from the Pertamina side is the oil and gas company of Indonesia, the energy company, and PLN, of course, bringing the downstream business into play. So the vision for us is to become the world-class company in terms of the EV battery ecosystem, but also not just the battery, but also the EV ecosystem. How we're going to do that is going through what we call the downstreaming process to end. So we develop from the mining side all the way to the downstream and all the way to the even to the recycling. And I think what's key here is also that Indonesia wants to be the EV production hub of the ASEAN region. So it's not just producing the EV to Indonesia, but also to supply this to the ASEAN region. But in doing this, we really need to have a global cooperation with companies that have patents, that have technology, and also the financing that we need to have this end-to-end development. This is how we are going to do that. First, our main agenda is to develop the end-to-end production of the battery. As you know, IBC now is working with the #1 EV battery in the world, CATL, and the #3 battery producers in the world, which is LG Consortium Group. So we are developing from the mining side and then going into the smelting, and of course to the battery chemicals and battery cells and recycling, which is very important for us because when we use the recycling technology, we can have all the minerals that have been spent from the batteries going back into use in the battery ecosystem. So as you can see that the amount of investment that we are cooperating currently is close to 15 billion US, and we can have the agreement in later pages to show you in more detail. But if we have concluded this project, this 2 big project, we will have a capacity of close to 45 gigawatt hours in 2027, and we will be one of the biggest producers of EV batteries and EV materials, battery materials in the world. To show what the progress and also the demand side coming from the EV, you can see that the demand for batteries EV, thus the EV itself is quite significant, CAGR of around 23% per year. And this is driven by mostly 3 sectors. One from the 4 wheels EV, the 2 wheels EV, but the other one is the energy storage solution, because very important for us in terms of what we're doing in terms of the renewables. We'll show you some of the milestones that we have done since we are incepted. First of all, maybe to also update what is really currently happening. So the first gigafactory of battery has been inaugurated by President of Indonesia, September 2021. The current progress is already 80% construction, and we will be production in 2024. So the investment here is by LGES and Hyundai. The investment is around 1 billion US, and after we do the integration from the mining, then it will get all the materials from the upstream side. So this is the biggest, I think, in terms of progress in Indonesia that we have, and this factory is actually the largest in ASEAN region. The other one is the cooperation with between IBC, Antam, and CATL. This is in terms of production. What they really want, of course, the battery materials, the nickel side. But from the Indonesia side, our stance is that you can have our resources, but you need to develop this in Indonesia. So that's why we have the cooperation with CATL. And big thank you to Pa Seto, which also bring this cooperation into fruit. And we signed actually the upstream agreement this January 2023. This means that they are going into the upstream to be the minority part of upstream. But this is a key because by signing this cooperation, they are committed to have the downstream development in Indonesia, and with the eventual production of 15 gigawatt hours in terms of battery capacity in Indonesia by 2026. So this is the progress that we are doing currently with the Chinese CATL player. And I would like also to discuss opportunities in terms of cooperation. Again, when we see the end-to-end production of battery EV, it will really need technology. It will really also need know-how and also the investment. And we highlighted here several of the companies, European companies, that is very strong in terms of technology that can partner with us developing this further. And from the automotive side, of course, there's potential of the German, European car manufacturing to be able to invest in Indonesia and work with us to develop the EV ecosystem. So we can see here from the BASF, the 3Ms, the Unicor, the Northvolt, these are very good companies with very good technology that we can really work together to build the ecosystem here in Indonesia. The other one is, as mentioned before, in terms of the two wheels, this is a very big market in Indonesia. Several opportunities, of course, from the two wheels OEM itself. Most of the components, the BLDCs, the batteries, the controller, I think the technology which is available here in Europe or international technology is very advanced, and we can, of course, have partnership of that. The other ones is the infrastructure. Again, when we deploy the two wheels in Indonesia, there's the requirement of the battery swapping, the infrastructure charging, and you can see the numbers that what we need for our acceleration of the two wheels EV in Indonesia, it's quite significant. Investment close to around 700 million US just for the cell and pack. For the swapping station, close to about 300 million US in deploying to support the number of two wheels EV. We target, as you can see, in 2023, around 300,000 two wheels EV. But in 2030, we are really aiming about 2.5 million of EV in motorcycles. So this is another opportunity so that we can meet here and have this kind of more detailed discussion on the possibility of this kind of investment. Again, I think I'm not going to repeat this. All the incentive from the supply side, from the demand side, and the regional government is already in place. So this is a big agenda for the government to actually push not just the EV battery side, but also from the EV ecosystem, four wheels and two wheels itself. One thing I'd like to mention that IBC owns the portfolio now of the Indonesian two wheels cassettes, and this is the favorite of the presidents because it's all created from the Indonesian actual technology, and it is really having the highest content of local production. So this is something that we want to push ahead to really having the consumption for the battery, but also to have the EV ecosystem moving for Indonesia. This is the major timeline that we are looking at for IBC. 2023, we're focusing on the development of the two wheels EV, starting the projects with CATL and also with LG. We can see in 2024, we will have the first production of the Gigafactory. It's in Indonesia, in Karawang area with the LGS and Hyundai. This is a big milestone. 2025, this will be a part where the HPALs and the aircraft, the smelting, will come online with a cooperation with CATL. And hopefully, I think number 4 will be very critical, 2026. This is the first time that we have the cells coming from the mining of nickel from Indonesia. So it's a very big development or very big target that we set 2026. And to wrap up, I guess this is very important agenda, not just for IBC, but for the whole country of Indonesia. In doing this, we can reduce the CO2 emission by up to 9 million tons per annum. It's about 10% of the transportation sector. We can also reduce the fuel import by a significant amount, close to 29 million barrels per year. With current prices, that is around 7 to 8 billion US of saving in terms of imports. And the potential multiplier effect of building all this infrastructure was calculated by an independent source, and it is close to 200 billion for the economy of Indonesia. And again, I'd like to point out the investment opportunities that we can have with the partners here. The potential investment that we can do is huge, and we really would like to use this event to advertise our projects, and we really like to really work on the partners to have this kind of cooperation to build the ecosystem in Indonesia. Hopefully, I guess from this talk, you can see that Indonesia is very serious in developing the battery EV ecosystem and also the EV ecosystem, and we're here actually to can cooperate and find solution to make this reality happens. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toto Nugroho, for your presentation. I think I will ask the floors if you have any questions and answers. Questions for the panelists. Please raise your hand and tell us your name and where you're from. Is there anything from the from the floor, if you have any questions. Well, I'll ask first, I guess. I'll let the floor think about questions if they have. Probably I'll ask Mr. Marius first. Um, I saw from your slide that semiconductor is still an issue for this industry. Do do you have any idea until when, or because I know it's been very harshly hit during the COVID time, and I think it's not yet recovered. It's getting better, but I think it's not yet recovered. But as I see from your graph, the German auto industry, the European auto industry, they're all very, very aggressive in terms of for the next 5 to 10 years production. So do you have any explanation on until when about the semiconductor issues, or?
Actually, if I would have the answer, probably I would be a rich person. No, I don't know. Yeah, basically we see that it's getting better month by month, but still there's a huge backlog in the semiconductor issue, and you could see it in the one graph with the order situation and the current production. So it's getting better, it's narrowing, but still it's predicted that it's still an issue, and you can also see it when you, for example, as a private customer, when you order a car, and then even if you, for example, if the what is it called in your side mirror, like this for the that there's a person in the mirror, like this warning system. I mean, even this is used by chips and semiconductors produced by this. And actually, if you order this, then the car for the production needs to, it takes 5 to 7 months longer to be produced. So actually, we see that it's still a thing. And this overall thing shows us how what we have to do. We need to have resilient supply chains, and we need to have very reliable supply chains. And overall, that's right now where Germany is also putting a lot of political pressure on us, that we need to have resource and energy partnerships. And I mean, this is leading the whole story right now around EVs, that actually a single country can't do everything by its own, so we need to have stable and reliable supply chains. And Germany and German government is right now very much open to discover energy partnerships, resource partnerships, especially taking in mind the upcoming trend for the electric vehicles, so battery cells and stuff like this. So I think there's a long way to go still, but actually it's on the agenda of the government, of the car makers to ensure that supply chains will be stable. So for this we need resilient partners. And
So basically we need to be patient, yeah?
maybe a little bit, but it's coming.
And just another question, how difficult it is to, for German people to move from ICE, internal combustion engines, to EV. I mean, is it very sudden, or because of incentive they move to EV, or because they care about the environment? Because this is something that I think we need to learn from Germans, how to educate the Indonesian people, how to change from ICE to EV, because it's not an easy process. It takes time, and how long does it take for Germans to move?
I would honestly say that it's a very interesting question, especially because the society is somehow divided in Germany right now. And I saw it at the last AAA motor shows we did as the VDA, and like 6-7 years ago there was just even known electric vehicles, like some let's say studies, and people were just looking at it, okay, quite interesting, but they would rather be interested in the newest V6 or V8 engine. And this has changed a lot. So you see that actually people who have once driven an electric car are very much happy with this and are very happy with the decision. But for sure, what you also need to take in mind is definitely the governmental incentives. So actually, if you have in Germany, if you have a company car and you have an electric car, so you get you have to pay very less taxes and you get a very high incentive. So even this was driving the electric mobility. And right now, I mean, there's a lot of discussions in the society and in politics when, like some 2-3 weeks ago, there was the big discussion about the stop of the internal combustion engine in Europe, or rather now how to go ahead. And now there's the discussion about e-fuels, and you see that there's still, like, let's say there's two sides. There's the one side who's saying, okay, all electric also in the society, and the other side is saying, okay, basically we should leave a door open for the internal combustion engine, which is also like a VDA position, because actually for sure we are highly convinced that electric mobility will be the future, but especially I'm basically focusing on India and Africa as main markets in my job. And if you see electric mobility, for example, in Africa as a future market, then I mean there must definitely be other sources for climate neutral mobility. And actually we see also e-fuels, for example, as a completion or adding on technology which can help climate neutral mobility in the future. So I would say society is divided, even politics is divided, and we hope we all find a very stable way for climate neutral mobility in the future.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any questions from the floor? If please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, the panelists. Okay, so my name is Zuhri from the Siemens. I have two questions specifically for Pak Toto, IBC. Hello, Pak Toto. Yeah, so first is I want to ask about the technology adoptions. So in terms of, because as we all know, right, when we want to develop something like, IBC did is something that quite so-called like a sophisticated. So have you decided, which technology that you will adopt to develop the battery? This is the first. Second question, how will like the vendors such as Siemens, can support the IBC in the future? So these questions for Toto. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for the question. And I think technology is a key part in terms of what we are doing currently. So if we are talking about the technology for producing the EV battery, which is needs to be accepted by the OEM, of course, there would need to be batteries, which is technology which is proven. So that's why at this point in time, we work with the largest EV battery producers in the world, CATL and LGS, by using, of course, their technology. This is the first part. But for Indonesia, we really need to have our adoption of the technology. So along the line, we really need to have to develop the capability to be able to produce at least some of the key value chains. It's not easy, but again, if we work with the partners, we work with the research institution, this is something that we need to do. Because if not, then the technology will be just owned by the licensors, right? And this is why we want to have the investment, but to some extent, we need to be open, or the provider needs to be open in terms of sharing the technology to a certain degree, right? Because we cannot really, let's say, purchase the whole patent and do that. And again, the other one is to include the research universities in Indonesia. Indonesia, there have been very good research in terms of the battery chemistries. It's already in place. But in order to scale up this research, this is the problem that we must work together from the industry and also from the universities. That's for your first part of the question. Second part, of course, Siemens is well known in terms of their technology. I guess solutions in the energy storage system from Siemens, from the other players here in Germany. Of course, this is something that we really want to do because, as you know, we really want to serve the market in the whole world. We have the market in Chinese already in place, but we need to also to be able to provide the markets in the US and the Europe. And this, of course, requires the technology which is proven and accepted in each of this area. So we can have a discussion after this in terms of what can we do with Siemens. I think we have also cooperated with Siemens Indonesia in some part of the energy storage system. Hopefully that answers your questions. Thank you.
So basically, IBC is open to all technologies, right, Pak? Yeah, yeah. Any other questions from the? Yeah, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Bob Saril. I'm from the IPIP, Indonesian Pamala Industrial Park. We are dedicated to the value chain for the electric vehicles battery. I'm asking for my friends, Pak Toto, is okay. As you mentioned just now, you pictures the one of the holes of the supply chains. I mean the value chains from the nickel mining until to the ends, and then you just focus on the Europeans. Is there any what we call any opportunity for the others country like Chinese or the other countries that we can work together in order to build a kind of holes of the value chains of the battery for the EV or even for the storage? This is the first question. And then the second question to Paseto, of course. Paseto, nowadays that we are looking for the more greener energy, and then also as we see that a lot of, if we want to invest, maybe consume so much money for the investment. Is there any incentive that the government of Indonesia can give in order to build more for the renewable energy, especially to build up an ecosystem for the battery or the EV itself? This is the two questions I like to. Thank you very much.
I think Pak Toto can answer first, and then Pak Seto.
Yes, Bob. So I think the answer to that is yes, of course, because as I mentioned before, we need Indonesia needs to find its place in the global supply chain of battery materials, and in order to cater the major demand center of EV, which is the Chinese, US, and Europe, we really need to work with all partners. That's why in terms of the government policy, we really want to have CATL we already have in place. So all the technologies from the China is well proven in terms of from end to end. I can say from the smelting, from precursors, cathode, anodes, even recycling. So we are very open to the Chinese technology. I just didn't show this up because we were in Europe and we want to have cooperation also with the European partners. But of course, we are very open in terms of having this technology working with the Chinese. They are well proven. And again, one of our partners is CATL, which brings in their research center, technology. I'm very amazed with what they are doing in terms of research, because they have 1,000, I think, PhD research in their company to make the latest advancements in battery technology. So that's why, of course, Chinese technology is something that is already in place. But in order to do the entire value chain to serve all the demand hubs, we really need to work with everybody that has specific technology. Hopefully that answers your question, Pak Bob.
Thank you, Pak. So I guess the common incentive scheme that we have, the tax holiday, the import duty, free import duty for the capital goods that is importing, has been successful to attract a lot of investment. Yeah. I guess one of the key, I would say, the key factors right now is actually for us to be eligible, to be eligible for the Inflation Reduction Act in the US, to be honest, to attract more investment. Because I guess this will be the key, the incentive provided by the US, in the IRA is just it's just something that we cannot ignore, even in Indonesia, So I guess getting this trade deal, between Indonesia and the US on the critical minerals is necessary, to attract the more investment into the country, especially on the battery materials. I think on the incentive from the government, I would say it should be sufficient enough. I guess if you want to develop the renewable energy and then make it integrated with the industrial estate, I think that would be very beautiful. Yeah, I would say, because I think with that you can control the emission, you can the traceability of the emission is also much easier. Yeah, I think this is also why we built the North Kalimantan Industrial Estate. Yeah, so I guess that's the answer. Thank you.
Maybe just additional questions to Paseto from me. I think um, um, what kind of support do you think Indonesia need from our German counterparts? Because now we're in Hannover Messe, there's so many Germans companies here, German. I think also one of the issue is also local content, because I think like Hyundai and Wuling is now doing 40% local content. I'm sure uh, we need to have more technical support on components. Probably some could be from the German manufacturers to invest to Indonesia, right? I think this is something that
Well,
necessary.
thank you, Pak Wanandi. Well, I think German has a significant advantage, yeah, in terms of the auto technology. Even in China, the largest producer of the cars is actually a German company, the Volkswagen. Yeah, so I guess for Indonesia, getting the assistance from Germany on this auto component is will be very beneficial. But I guess from the model that I've seen so far, yeah, for example, when I take a look Wuling, yeah, Wuling invest in Indonesia, they bring the whole supply chain also coming to Indonesia because apparently they have a difficulty to get from the local supplier. So I think this is one way to to meet the local content. But to be honest, for Germany, I think one area of cooperation that we can have is actually on the battery material and the battery technology. Yeah. I know Volkswagen yesterday or 2 days ago has announced their interest to invest in the battery material in Indonesia. I think that is very beautiful, but I guess they need to do it fast because at the same time, we have a discussion with Tesla and another U.S. Automaker company, yeah, for this type of investment. So I'm not sure that we have enough nickel to meet all this demand. Yeah. So I guess this cooperation is good, yeah, because Germany, I think, can provide diversified or alternative technology, yeah, in terms of the nickel processing, battery materials. Yeah, yeah, you have BASF, and then Volkswagen also have a significant R&D on the battery. So I think that will be useful for Indonesia. Yeah. As for automaker factory, I'm still quite pessimistic, to be honest. But I think if we can start on the battery materials, I think that would be already very good for both party, because I guess we can supply the nickel to the Germany and then use the nickel for the battery in Germany and get the benefit, yeah, as well. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paseto. Any other questions from the floor? Yeah, please. Maybe you can go first.
Hello, my name is Volker Knappstein. I'm working for the German company Schuler. We are producing production lines for battery cells, and I wonder if you could help me to get into contact with potential customers in Indonesia. And this is my colleague, Puju.
Well, actually, Pak Toto, we would like to see also what is the standard in Indonesia, because as you know, we are producing also the casing for the battery, and the casing becoming very important to avoid any leakage or to avoid any problem. Yeah, that's from our side. Yeah, thank you, Pak.
Yes, I think we will, after this we can have a detailed discussion. This is one of the most important thing in terms of the battery implementation. We need to have a real clear standards in terms of setting safety standards, compatibility standards, voltage standards, and the packing also. So afterwards we will have more detailed discussion on this, and I will be very happy to have this discussion. Thank you.
I think, can you give him a mic to?
Okay, afternoon. My name is Jujianto from Polytron Indonesia. So first question will go to Marius. Okay, is there any of the of your member ecosystem that have a turnkey solution for four-wheeler? We will invite them to Indonesia for first to Marius. Okay, because this is a I came to German, so I will invite you to our country. So you can browse around. After this, I will pass my name card. Okay. Second question is to Pak Ari. Okay. Lots of my friends working there, Pak, at your company. So, Pak, as a part of PLN, how we can accelerate more the onboarding our existing customer for two-wheelers, Pak, when they need to increase their meter, their capacity meter at their home to charge the motorcycle, Pak. Is there any fastest way, Pak, to apply everything to jump up the meters in like 2 days, 3 days? So right now it takes about almost 2 months, Pak, to upgrade their electricity. Thank you, Pak.
I think Pak Marius can start first.
Yeah, I think the first question was pretty quick and easy, so thank you very much. I can only say yes, and we can exchange our cards afterwards. Thank you.
For the second question, actually this model, Pak, is already done for the four-wheeler modules. So it could be done. We can capture the models from four-wheeler into two-wheelers. We can integrate from the manufacturers of two-wheelers into our systems, and then the experience will be the same, Pak. So every time the users buy the two-wheelers, the electricity at their houses can be upgraded. But we can discuss more detail on this. Thank you, Pak.
Maybe I will ask a little bit more on Pak Ari on the PL. On your presentation, the charging stations is quite aggressive. The number of charging stations is quite aggressive. Do you think we have the capacity to do it, to produce it? Because it's really aggressive. I think Germany is also very aggressive in try to put charging stations. I think 1 million by 2030, and I think Indonesia also is very, very aggressive in putting the charging station. I mean, the producers for the charging station, can they keep up with this demand, or do you think it's good?
Yeah, Pak Wanandi. So the charging station implementation nowadays is already installed directly by PLN, but we are fully aware that Indonesia is very big countries. So we are attracting, Pak, the business model partnership. So we are attracting the users. We have made some of the collaboration models, the revenue sharing models with the investors here to get the share of the infrastructures that they are built on here. So this is the first offering from us is for the sharing model of the infrastructure development. Second one is the capacity of our industry, I think, have to be developed together here in terms of the more aggressive, intensive, for example, here compared to other countries in Europe, for example, more incentives to the chargers, not only for the EVs, and also building the national capability of the manufacturers of chargers is also very important. Now we in PLN developed the one of our unit is targeted to focus on the chargers development, Pak. So this model can also done together by the ecosystem of Indonesia in manufacturing the chargers, as well as to attract more investors to more investing on the chargers.
Good. Okay. Thank you, Pak Ari. Any other questions from the floor? Yeah, please.
Hello, good afternoon. Li Menglu from Institute for Technology and Economics of Lithium based in Halle, Germany. And I have a question for Indonesia side. And you have mentioned that Indonesia will build a whole value chain for batteries for EV. And in which sector of the value chain there will be huge opportunities for Indonesia, and where will be the huge challenges for Indonesia? For example, Indonesia have the nickel mines, so maybe the cathode materials will be the huge opportunities. And for example, packs and assembly, there will be huge technology challenges. So what do you think? Thanks.
I think Pak Seto can answer that.
Thank you very much. So I don't explain detail about the supply chain that we built. Yeah. So basically, I think to make the cathode, what we only need right now is the lithium refinery in Indonesia, and I think this is ongoing under construction. Ongoing under construction. End of this year, I think this will be completed. Then we can make the cathode. The second one for the anode, this is also under construction by BTR. BTR is, I think, one of the largest anode producer in the world. So we have the synthetic graphite in Indonesia that I think they will process further to make the anode. So which mean that we have the anode, we have the cathode, and then last year, I think last month, we just announced that one of the Chinese company, Hailiang, will make the copper foil for the lithium battery. Then I think we also have this ecosystem. I guess for the battery materials, I'm not really worried that I think we can complete the ecosystem. I think the challenge is if you want to build the battery pack and the battery cell, because usually the battery pack and cell will be built closer to the automaker's factory. It's not possible. I think it's not efficient for you to export the battery cell or the battery pack. The best way is you export the EV. I think that is the most efficient. That's why I think we put all of our effort right now to attracting more of EV automaker to come to Indonesia, so that we can bring we can build more battery capacity in the country. I think as of today, Pa Toto has mentioned we built 10 gigawatt of our first gigafactory for Hyundai and LG, and then I think CATL will also commit another 15 gigawatt. So I guess we are in the process to increase the battery capacity. But I think we also realize that I guess we cannot be greedy. That we want to build everything in Indonesia. I think that's fair. That's why I think I come back from US last week. I specifically discussed with the US on how actually Indonesia can support also the EV ambition in the US under the IRA. I'm quite confident that we can complete this ecosystem. I think we will be one of the very few countries in the world that is able to do this one.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pak Seto. Is there any other questions from the floor? Well, I would like to thank all the questions from the floor, and once again, I would like to thank all the panelists. I think they have given us a lot of insights. Please give a round of applause for them. I think Pak Seto, Marius, thank you very much, Pak Ari, Pak Toto. For the audience, I think I hope this kind of information is useful, and I hope there will be some partnership or cooperation between Indonesia and Germany, or even with other countries on the EV ecosystems in Indonesia. Once again, thank you very much and good afternoon.